My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun.
Hi, Obi here. Today I wanted to talk to you about Dr. Stone, which, I won't lie, I actually really wanted to hate. One of the problems with what it is and why it should be really easy to hate is the genre. It's nothing but wish fulfillment, and it's horrible and I hate it. That is a genre that I have tried to give a chance in manga and have found that it's not worth it. This is also made by Studio TMS Entertainment, which is the studio that made Tower of God. Now, Tower of God is not bad. Tower of God is relatively good in my mind. I like Tower of God. The issue is that TMS Entertainment hasn't really made much else of note. It's kind of lacking, to be honest. So the premise is that the world is overtaken by this wave of green light and turns everyone into stone. They had warnings prior, but very small amounts of warnings, not enough to like raise a bunch of red flags. The birds were turned to stone first. All other animals pretty much don't turn, it's just the birds and the people. I don't know if there's genetic significance there. I'm not a scientist. But yeah, everyone gets turned to stone. All the cars crash, all the planes fall out of the air, it's just chaos. And then 3,000 years pass, so all the buildings are just gone. Everything is gone, nothing's left. Of course, even though we follow Tanju's perspective as he wakes up. Senku's already been awake. For a while, but not that long. It's 6 months. But out of 3,700 years, 6 months is but a drop in the bucket, right? And he's already well on his way to establishing a little camp, a little base, a little place to start figuring things out. And his goal is to figure out how to revive the other humans. He figures out pretty quickly that it has to do with the bat guano. One thing that I appreciated about this sequence with them figuring out how to revive people is that it shows the scientific process of like trial and error and figuring things out and doing all the extra work and putting in the time and energy. It doesn't just happen because Senkuu says it does. Like, it's not... As someone who doesn't like super series and people being overpowered and being able to do anything right from the jump, and it doesn't matter what the challenge is, the power of friendship can overcome it. Like, it's nice that, sure, his intelligence is over the top, but he's not magic. He's not overpowered. He's not a Deus Ex Machina. Like, he's trying to do... It's about persistence. And so I appreciated that despite wanting to hate this. So, one of Senku's ideas about what's coming is that they need both the brains and the brawn in order to build this new civilization. That he is needed no more than, but as much as Tanju is needed. Which is adding a value to something that you wouldn't normally see someone with intelligence doing. Like, I've known people with like high intelligence with the ego of a f***ing monster, and they do not respect people who aren't on their level, not even a shred. That kind of had me surprised that he really valued Tanjiro like that, or Tanju like that. It kind of made Senkuu more endearing, because he really isn't compared to Tanju. Tanju's endearing. He tries his hardest, you know? He's just doing his best. Episode 2, we get to see the opening. The opening isn't anything special. So, in the second episode, they start with the first revival.
誰から復活させるんだ。
最初の人間決めんのめんどくせえな。大樹、てめえが選べ。
ありがとう、センク。
Which is one of the strongest cases that we have for Senku's sentimental streak, because you know he's intellectual. They don't have sentimental streaks; they're egotistical. It's just the truth. I've known a lot of them. Taiju goes to revive his romantic interest, the girl that he loves, and right before he does it, he realizes that there's a problem. And that is that people are revived naked. And so if he were to revive her as she is there where she was, she would be revived naked, which would be embarrassing to say the least, and not ideal for, especially a young woman, to be in that situation. And he thinks about it, you know what I mean? Like, he considers how she would feel, and he doesn't put his own desires first. He doesn't sexualize her. He doesn't say, oh, I get to see her naked, you know, like some characters would. I appreciate that he respects women enough to be like, no, we're gonna go out of our way to make sure that she's clothed beforehand so that it is a comfortable situation for her. Kudos. Taiju is the man of our time. While they're carrying Headband Girl back to camp to clothe her so they can revive her modestly, they get attacked by lions. And of course, Taiju asks the obvious question, why are there lions? What? This is Japan. Taiju has a point. You've got like that obvious vibe of like Flynn Rider in Tangled, like, her hair glows. Why are there lions? And so they run, and they start to devise an idea as they're running, and they end up finding the I don't want to say stoned stone encased body of this dude. But they're running and they think of a plan. They run into Sakasa, this dude who's still a stone dude, and they wake him up instead of the girl. And this dude is supposed to be a high schooler like them, right? He takes out a fully grown adult male lion in one hit. They basically assign him to hunting because he is really good at it. He is a natural born hunter, basically. He's like Tarzan in the forest. He is completely capable of running that shit hard. I really wanted him to be a good guy at first because he was really cool with the whole fighting stuff. And there are some people in that time I got reincarnated as a slime who give off like mild sketchy vibes but are actually really cool. I kind of wanted it to be like that, where it's like, yeah, they're kind of low-key evil and a demon, but like they're my buddy. But no, it's not the case. We have a moment on the beach. Senkuu unlocks Tsukasa's backstory with enough friendship points or whatever, and we find out that Tsukasa is bitter towards adults, specifically, well, I'm sure there's more than one reason, but specifically in part because when he was a child, he was beaten by a drunk old man for collecting seashells on the beach. The old man claimed that it was his property and that the child was stealing. He was taking them to build a necklace for his sister who was dying of cancer. So, it was pretty emotionally traumatic. Upon telling this story, Senkuu reaches out and crushes the head of an old man. Which is pretty brutal, pretty rough. And he explains that what he wants out of this fresh new world is to revive it without the adults, because adults are too tainted by greed to be a part of a new world like this. That they would make it the old world and ruin the chances of it becoming a better world. Which, you know what? He's got a point. So Senkuu disagrees with Tsukasa. He does not think that we should kill people. He does not think that it's okay to just kill old people because they're old. He wants to revive everyone, which is an ideal. It's kind of a sentimental ideal. You know, it's got kind of the same ring as, like, you know, we can be heroes. Like, he's like, I can save everyone. Just this once. Everybody lives.
Everybody lives, Rose. Just this once. Everybody lives!
Which, you know, half of them are already dead, so it's not gonna work. But he wants to save whoever he can. Senkuu decides in that moment that he's going to keep the revival method a secret from Tsukasa, and then in that exact moment, which I want to get angry about, and I would call that out as a really stupid moment, but it's kind of funny. It's actually pretty funny, so couldn't even hate on it. So in the third episode, we find out that Tsukasa is intense, almost as intense as that contour. He did it again. He makes one hell of a righteous villain. Like, he is like, we are going to save society by butchering old people, and that's the way it has to be. Like, this is my dream. And it's like, okay, but your dream is dark and messed up, and I don't really want it in my house. Senkuu tries to keep at least half the secret, which is the alcohol half. And so they send Tsukasa to go get more of the batshit stuff, and while he's gone, they revive the girl. So whenever Tsukasa gets back, he can tell that he's been betrayed and that they have no intention of working with him, and so he kind of gets a little bit angry about that, which, you know, there's only 4 people in the world right now, and 2 of them just betrayed him, so that makes sense. And so they kind of have like a fight, and it's very one-sided because this dude can pull a crossbow bolt out of air. Which is insane. For some reason, despite being able to easily destroy them without even trying, Tsukasa just walks away at this point. And we understand that part of the reason is because they are also kids, like young adults like he is, and he doesn't want to kill them, he only wants to kill the adults. And Senkuu knows this, so his response is, we have to make a weapon that can deal with this. They decide to leave and seek materials to make weapons, and on the trip we see the first spark of human emotion about, you know, the end of the world from one of these people. Headband girl kind of has this moment where she's like, yo, the world ended. My parents are dead. It's been 3,000, almost 4,000 years. This is messed up. And she like has a good cry. And it really freaks out Taiju, which is funny. But like, I was just sitting there like, human emotion. Good on you, girl. Go ahead and provide that, because these boys ain't had a single moment of mourning. And she's gonna do all the mourning. She's gonna do all the emotional heavy lifting, which, you know, don't women always. And so they get to these hot springs. Senkuu reveals that the goal, the weapon, is gunpowder. And so he's going to kickstart things several thousand years in advance with just this one invention. And my first thought was, that's sure morally gray. Because that's a pretty intense weapon. In theory, if you were restarting society, you wouldn't want to restart with weapons of mass destruction because you're dealing with a very small amount of people. Even a small conflict with low-grade weapons could reduce the size of the people you already have and risk your civilization dying out. So like a full-scale civil war with like cannons and bombs and guns and shit, like that's it. You're done. All your work is for naught. All the people are dead. But at the same time, he is reviving people. These people know what gunpowder is. Someone's going to eventually create it. So while it's lacking in morality, it's a matter of fact. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a thing. You might as well take control of it and try and keep people from using it to kill everybody. I don't like it, but I get it. Now, what's funny is that he says they have to keep the fact that they're using gunpowder from him, because once he knows, they lose that edge. And then we cut to him and he immediately figures it out. He's like, oh yeah, they went in that direction. They're probably making gunpowder. He's also like pretty quick on the uptake that like they were faking it, that like they're gonna be back. It's also pretty quick in the uptake of a lot of things. Like, he seems to have a pretty broad scientific knowledge himself, which is kind of cool. And that's where the episode leaves off. And that's it. This show was not what I wanted. I wanted something terrible that I could shit all over and hate and enjoy myself because I had a rough day. I went out to go get stuff for the background and they didn't have what I wanted, and what I could get was more expensive than what I wanted to spend, and so y'all are just gonna get nothing for a lot longer. Sorry. I actually like Senku's character design. I also think that he would low-key look really attractive with like his hair down. Like, there's some fan art and I'm like, ooh. These cosplayers, man, they look good as like Senkuu, but with his hair down, oh. Just to plea to all the cosplayers out there to please do your Senkuus with his hair down. That'd be great. Does that make me sound thirsty? I'm asexual, so I can't be. It's fine. It's fine. I just like aesthetic, and I think it would be more aesthetic. I also like the endearing passion that Taiju has for whatever he's told to do, and how much he cares about that girl, despite... I have a feeling it's not that deep. The show isn't great, but it's not bad. It's not misogynistic or sexist or really even that intensely in its genre, because that's a key part of the genre. It's kind of the best of what you could expect from this genre, actually, so that's really nice. You might like this show. I don't think it'll ever be in anyone's top 10. It exists, and it's not bad. That's fine. It's not a big deal. It's nice that it's not misogynistic, because a lot of anime is, and the bar is really just that low. And that's all. I'm Obi. That's it. Bye. Do you guys like my Kirishima blanket that I have repurposed as a chair cover because there are claws in my house? Hello, claws. Yes, I'm talking about you. Sukasa. Tsukasa? I feel like Tsukasa sounds a little bit too... I'm not pronouncing it right, but that's how it's spelled, but it sounds like I'm mixing the pronunciation of Japanese and Spanish words. Senkuu keeps saying this 10 billion% shit, and I'm like, what? It's gonna be so hard to cut. I'm going all over the place. Do I like this? Yes. Yes, I do. Katra. No, don't step on my keyboard. No, you do this every time. I forgot to mention this would actually make a really good show for like younger audiences because the violence isn't like bloody. It's very much like they are crushed into dust, almost like confetti, but dirty. And it's not sexualized, and it's got an intelligent character who's not egotistical. I think that that's good for younger audiences. So like middle school, early high school, this is a really good show for that. So it's just not a lot for like college kids who want to watch like Neon Genesis level stuff or Full Metal Alchemist level stuff. So not that I wouldn't recommend those things for that age. It's, yeah, no, I would recommend don't watch Neon Genesis at a younger age. I did. Then again, younger audiences are watching Attack on Titan, so like